Do you feel more empowered now than you did 4 months ago?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in control of what goes in my mouth. I'm in control of how I feel because I've shown myself that I can actually just make some changes. And it, to be honest, it wasn't hard.
Because Stacey is a rock star, in case anyone didn't know. She is still getting huge improvements in her health. So, Stacey, I wanted to ask you some questions because it's been about 3 months, and I know that you've done some big movers in your lifestyle, but really, I have not seen that it's been really difficult to make these certain changes that you've made. But I know you've had quite a bit of weight loss, and I know that you're feeling better on certain levels. Well, tell us where you were at like 3 months ago, and tell us where you're at now, and you tell us what you think made the difference for you.
I was at least 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And I would eat something and I would bloat. I would retain water in my ankles and my legs. I felt heavy and bloated all the time. But when I would eat, even just drink a smoothie, my stomach would bloat till looked like I was 5 months pregnant. I mean, I was in pain because I was so gassy. So Terry and I were talking, and she suggested a candida overgrowth. And as I looked into that, I'm like, oh my goodness.
So,
No.
what did you do like 6 months prior?
Oh, you said you took that antibiotic, didn't you? And it was actually a year earlier that I had such a bad sinus infection. And against Terry's wishes and direction, and even my own, I decided, because it was right before Christmas, I'm like, I just have to get this. I have to take this. So I took an antibiotic and then took a month of probiotics, but they were not really good ones. At the time, I thought they were. And that is when I noticed. I mean, I had weight on me, at that time. I was heavier, but I wasn't really watching my diet. But that is when I noticed everything changed. Everything shifted from that last year. I just declined. I felt so sick and just heavy. Like my legs were heavy, everything. I was retaining water. And I was like, well, that's normal, retaining water when you're, 51 at the time. That's normal. I looked into the candida thing and I almost cried. I'm like, this is it. This has got to be it. So I did the liver flush. And then I decided to go to a cleaner eating, and I cut out alcohol that day. It's done. No more alcohol, no more sugar. I stopped fruit for 2 months. I did greens and soups, bone broth soups, things like that. I lost 12 to 15 pounds in those 2 months. And so now I've reintroduced some things, not really a lot of grains, and did 4 total liver flushes in 3 months. A lot of salad, a lot of veggies. Now I'm starting to do more fruit to see how I react, and it's been okay. So I think I'm past the candida part, but the liver flushes, I believe, is what's really kick-started this whole weight loss. I lost a lot of fat from my liver. Borderline fatty liver. I was on my way if I had kept drinking.
So you don't have to be too descriptive, but just talk about that, because people that watch this aren't going to necessarily understand what you mean by, how do you know you lost a lot of fat from a liver flush? Like how do you know you have a fatty liver? Like that kind of thing.
Oh, well, because of what came out.
Okay.
It was yellow fat balls and toxic smelling. It was hard to be in the bathroom. It was so toxic smelling. So that's when I realized, well, when I had sent Terry pictures, she does, and she's like, oh my gosh, you have fatty liver. And I'm like, well, no kidding. I've been drinking since 2015, not heavily, but almost every day. So the 2 liver flushes in a row, I had a lot of that yellow fat coming out. And I've looked at pictures of people with fatty liver, and it is, you can see all that yellowness in there. And that's what was coming out. Now, my third one, I didn't have as much. My fourth one, I don't think I had any. So
Nice.
I at least got a good layer of the fat out. So I know that's not related to losing fat on your body, but I think my liver is healthier maybe, and it's absorbing.
Yes. Here's why it's related. Your liver, it's trying to detoxify. It's the only organ that can detoxify. And so when it can't do its job, it's gonna say, well, we got to shove this at other places because I can't safely put this out like that. Now stuff does get out, but so once your liver is able to process things safely and you get your emunctories working, your lymph is flowing a little better, and just, your kidneys are filtering better, and all this, everything starts working better, then your body is going to process through some of that stuff that's stored. And we don't know, your body is going to decide when it does that. But one thing is for sure is our bodies are going to keep us as safe as it can. So whatever it's doing it for our greatest good. Even though you might have uncomfortable symptoms, it's not our body doing something wrong. It's actually doing something right, given the circumstances that we don't understand what's going on inside. So I think your weight loss was twofold. I don't think it would have happened without those two things together. I think you would have had shifts in your health if you just changed the diet or if you just did liver flushing. But I think those two things were super powerful. And one thing I want to say about this process for you is this is a perfect example of, I couldn't have told you exactly what to do when. You've been like a perfect student. You want information, and you're not one of those people, just tell me what to do. I just want to tell me what to do. Like, I can't do that. I can teach you in principles. And we talk about principles all the time. And you ask me a lot of questions. And so then you decide, you have the power. You decide through all the things that you understand. And you also do outside research. You're not just relying on me. You and I work together that way. And you say, well, what about this? And I'll be like, based on what I know here. So it is a process. If you really want to get well and want to get healthy, you have to take ownership of your own health. And Stacey's a perfect example of doing that. So I just wanted to mention that, and all aspects of her life. How much weight have you lost so far?
It's gone as low as 32 pounds.
Okay.
I'm making better choices and going, okay, well, I think today I would like to have this,
Once you can get to a place, I like the 90-10 rule. 90% of the time, because of the state that the world is in and with the poisons and toxins in our bodies, I think you got to be on your game 90% of the time. Like, I really do. If you really want to start moving the needle, and that 10%, like, you can't feel guilty about it, because if you do, then you're in a stress response, right? And so that's another thing that is part of the program when I work with people, is that, yeah, and you said you had a blueberry bagel, I think with cream cheese or something on Mother's Day or something. And I was like, okay, and you weren't afraid to tell me, right? And that's part of it too, is learning where the balance is for you. And when you start out, maybe it's a 20-80 rule where, you can do what's best for you 20% of the time.
So I did do a before and after picture, and I was going to hold it up for the camera, but I don't know if it's going to work. So I printed it out. So it's crazy.
Look at you. Wow.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah. It's
Huge
crazy.
thing.
It's
and
crazy.
I'm sure you feel like you can move better, and like, like going up and down stairs, and your joints probably feel better.
Yeah. And actually I had this chronic phlegm, and that is gone. I had that for a year, maybe two, and that's gone. I was constantly coughing up this phlegm. And my knees aren't aching as much at all. My knees ached inflammation that I have just shed internally. And so that's why I think I feel so much better. The brain fog is still, because candida overgrowth will cause brain fog. That's better. It's not great, but I think that could be other things too.
It could be a lot of things. Yeah. You get the low hanging fruit first. You get the things that are easiest to get, the things that are cheapest, free, whatever. And then you see what's left. And so that's why working on someone's lifestyle and doing things that are the low hanging fruit first makes so much sense. Rather than saying, what can I take for that? I don't work that way. And so, for the meantime, if someone's in an emergency situation where they just can't function, absolutely. Your daily maintenance is always going to be a program. Unfortunately, right now, if you want to keep yourself as healthy as possible, because you're trying to get out the stuff that's being put in there inadvertently. And, you know, just having a lifestyle that's healthy is just anti this system that we live in. So sometimes your friends change, you know, throughout, you know, the months and years that you start just having a different lifestyle. You start attracting different people, and the people that you hung out with before, they don't want to be around you anymore. You don't want to be around them. It's just this kind of natural process that happens. I know. So, you know, it's good because those people that will support you now come into your life. And it's like hanging out with smokers and you're trying to stop smoking. It just doesn't work. And you realize after a while, that's kind of what we had in common. That's like what we had. It's like, it doesn't mean anything to me anymore.
Yep.
What I want to know is what inspired you at this point to take such charge of your health? You've taken charge of your health before, but it's usually short term. But I don't see that happening right now. So what inspired you to take control of your health like you have now?
I was terrified that I was going to be a sickly old person. And I could barely walk up and down the stairs without something hurting. And I was like, this can't be normal. And I didn't want to, you know, I'm 52. I didn't want to be 72 and barely be able to go up and down the stairs. And I knew that if I, you know, I hadn't taken care of myself, you know, most of my life. So I knew, and I just gained so much knowledge too. I was looking into things and reading things. And I was like, you know, I should be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I should have been doing this for years. And I had a resource, and, you know, you have to be ready. And something just clicked when I discovered that it could possibly have been a candida problem. It just clicked. Like, I could actually take care of most of this.
Mm-hmm.
And the liver flushes, once I had that first one and saw what was coming out, I was disgusted. Mm-hmm. I was just disgusted, not with myself, but with what I was seeing. Right. Like that's, and I'm kind of weird like that. Like, I don't want to touch stuff. You know, I don't want to, if I know it's in there, I don't want it in there.
Yeah.
So that's why I was, you know, quitting the drinking was so easy, because I knew that that's what caused that, and sugar, but I knew that's what caused that. And I was like, oh, hell no.
Mm-hmm. There is that period where you have to recalibrate and readjust, and to stay away from something for a time is probably a good idea. And then you can kind of go dip your toe in a little bit. Yeah. Like sugar is, with some people, you know, they have to have a time without it.
Yeah, that's been easy. Now I'm just enjoying the fact that I can have fruit again. Like I tested.
And that's a recalibration. See, that I love that. It's like with my client that I talked about before with the ice cream and the chips. I recalibrated her. It took a while, but her whole outlook was different, and also her taste buds I knew were going to change. So people don't change until it's more painful not to. And I think what I'm hearing you say is you got to a point where it was getting ridiculous. You couldn't walk upstairs and stuff. And so the changes that you made, it was just time, because it was going to be, even though changing is not easy, there's pain involved. And on some levels, to stay where you're at was more painful. You started to realize. I kept telling you, and I told you so many times before, that trust me, the grass is greener on this side. You will get through it. It will be hard, but the grass is greener. You're in a better place, and all these things become easier. And the knowledge, I love how you talked about the knowledge, because that is also part of it. If we don't understand, we don't see things for ourselves, we don't know the reasons why, then we can easily talk ourselves out of stuff, or we can easily fool ourselves. We're all fooling ourselves all the time on some levels. And just the more knowledge we get of it, so they have something to grasp on that is objective. Do you feel more empowered now than you did 4 months ago?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in control of what goes in my mouth. Mm-hmm. I'm in control of, you know, how I feel, because I've shown myself that I can actually just make some changes. And to be honest, it wasn't hard.
Because you were ready.
Yeah, I was ready. So it was super easy.